Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Women's Business Network, the Spotlight. Today we are talking to Wendy Howell with Eyonic Systems. And Wendy, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so for those of you that don't know, I am Marilyn Barker. I'm the director of the Women's Business Network, and we are a relationship-based professional women's networking group where we are here to educate, empower, and shine the spotlight on our members. So Wendy is a longtime Vacaville member in California. So Wendy, what's it been, probably 4 or 5 years that you've been with us?
Yeah, I think it's been a little over 4 years. It's gone by quickly.
Time flies. And you are the co-leader of the Vacaville chapter. So yay for that. Thank you so much for stepping into that leadership position. So let's just jump right into it. So Wendy, tell us a little bit about your business, what it is, and how you got started.
So we are IT consultants for businesses, and originally this business was owned by my partner, and I was an IT director at a school in Napa. And then when we met after maybe a year or so, he kind of said, hey, let's take my business from being a hobby and turn it into a real business. And I was like, all right. I had been working in the field for a while. I have a master's degree in IT, and it kind of just made sense. We worked really well together, and we're both really big on taking on projects when we want to and not being slowed down by, like, no offense, but management, right? Sometimes that happens. You have this great idea and you're super excited and you present it and they're like, yeah, I don't know. And it really kind of kills that, like, that dreamer in you, that person who's so excited to do something for people. And so I had been in positions where I had a lot of freedom, and then sometimes I didn't. And so it was like that time of where, yeah, I want to take on the things that I want to take on. Let's do that together. And so we did. And it was scary. It was a little scary for me at first, like, ooh, all our eggs in one basket. Are we really doing this? And then I would just come up with ideas like, hey, I think we should have a better website. Okay, go get it. Like, and this has, been a while. It's been over a decade now. We should have a mobile site. Okay. And that was when these were different things, right? Okay, go learn how to do that. All right. So we did. And that's kind of what we've been doing it together for over a decade now. We love it. We love working together. We always work together as a team. We're really good at different things. But we have a lot of crossover. And in IT, that helps a lot because there's always a different way to look at something or a different way to come at something when you're having an issue. So that's kind of, we work basically with larger businesses. We augment their staff if they have like a big project and they're trying to get it done, or they're stretched thin and they just don't have the staff to do something like that, or someone small who doesn't have a need for a full IT staff because it can be expensive. So we're on call. They call us when they need us, and we only bill them when when something happens. So we love what we do. We have a really good time. We try to just make the tech accessible and protect them and make it easy, because it can get complicated, unfortunately.
Right. Because when people hear IT, sometimes they're like, oh my God, that stresses them out. So tell us, so let's talk about small businesses for right now. So
Sure.
What are some of the services that you could provide for, like, myself with a small business? What kind of services can you provide for me so that when I hear IT, I get all, oh my gosh, what does that mean? So kind of break that down and what could you do for me?
Okay, so for a small business, we have cloud-based backups. That's probably our number one product for small business, because if you lose your data, trying to recover that, it's really hard, depending upon whether it's ransomware or somebody just accidentally wiped out that shared folder of, 10 years of your business. Maybe it's that your computer crashed and all your data lived on there. We actually just did data recovery for a foundation who had 10 years of their foundation's data on one device. They had a backup device as well. Both of them crashed in the same week. That actually happens to people. It does. It's horrible. Luckily, we were able to save all this data. But we would prefer that you back it up first. It's so much less stress because it took a week to get the data back. It took us a week. So it takes time. It's a very slow process recovering data. So cloud-based backups are, an off-site location. They back up from anywhere as long as you have access to the internet. We don't care if you're, half the year in Mexico and half the year you live at home. That's fine. They'll still back up, and you can recover at any time. So that's the huge, huge thing for us, is protecting your business data. Really hard to get that back. Plus, employee downtime, really costly. The second thing we can do is we can host your website. And so if you're hosting somewhere else, we can host that for you. We include updates and an SSL cert for free. And the last thing would be professional drive destruction. This is a big one. I don't think I know a single person who doesn't have a computer in some closet somewhere. This is what I hear the story all the time. I don't know what to do with this computer. I've had this old laptop or this old desktop. It's huge. It's taking up all this closet space. Don't just get rid of it. Believe it or not, you probably did online banking at some point or had some sort of tax forms on it. So don't just throw it out. We do professional drive destruction. It's really reasonably priced, and it's NSA, high tech, and HIPAA certified, meaning it basically we completely wipe out the data and then we actually crush the drives. If it's a solid state drive, we actually have a special adapter for that, and the chipsets get punched because it's a different type of drive. So we can do both hard drives and solid state. So that's really critical. It's sort of like the circle of life with data in your business. One is having the data and being accessible, and the next is having it backed up in case something happens, and the last one is destroying it when it's no longer in use. It's really the life cycle of the data. It's very, very important, and sometimes something people forget. We often have people go, "You do that? Here's 60 drives I've been sitting on." I'm like, okay.
Yes,
It's
because
important.
people don't realize that just because they think they've erased it or they've reformatted it, there's tech out there that can recover that. So it's really
Yep.
important that that data get destroyed properly.
Yes,
And I have used that service with you, and I think I was the same way. Oh my gosh, you do that? I didn't know that. And it's affordable too. I don't want to talk about pricing because pricing always fluctuates, but it's
yeah,
affordable. That was what really was great is it's not going to break the bank to make sure
exactly.
you take care of things properly, even with the backup. I back up to a separate thing, but having your backup is just that good peace of mind at an affordable price. And I think that's where a lot of people are confused too, that they think that it's too expensive to do those things.
Right.
And it is really not. It's very affordable even for small businesses.
Right. We try to make it to where it's so accessible, it is ridiculous not to do it. Right. Like sometimes we'll quote somebody and I'll say, "Oh, it's $49." And they're like, "Oh, $49 a month." And I'm like, "No, for the year." And they're like, "What?" Certain plans, right? And so they're like, "Oh my gosh, where do I write a check?" It's because they just haven't looked into it and they assume it's going to be overwhelming. And that is, we don't want it to be overwhelming because trying to recover your data is so much more effort, and you're down until you get it back, and it's not what we want. We want to protect you, but we want it to be reasonable. So we try really hard.
Right, right. So those are great products and services. I do want to touch on one thing real quick. I know it's probably a lot to go into, but having a good backup can also help you if you get ransomware or other things on your computer too, correct?
Correct.
So that you're
Yes.
not literally hostage.
Yes, correct. So there's two pieces to the ransomware. When you get a device infected with ransomware, it encrypts all the files locally, right? Everyone knows that, pretty much. But it also encrypts any devices attached. So if you back up your data to an external hard drive and it's attached at the time, it's gone. It's also encrypted. And last but not least, this is most important for small businesses, is it will follow a mapped drive to a server or a workstation that's sharing its data, and it will encrypt all of that data as well, all of it. So if you're a small business and you have a server or a workstation that shares out most of the data, say like a dental office is a perfect example of where this happens. Everyone is connected to that one station so they can access patient files, right? It's because it's not all just scattered across the devices, or you'd have to go, "Oh, geez, which room did we put you in last time?" Right? Doesn't make sense. It's all in one device. Well, those drives are mapped, and ransomware will follow that, and it will encrypt that too. So it's a really big deal, and that's why it's so effective, unfortunately. And because people don't do backups, they end up trying to pay to get that decryption key, which oftentimes doesn't even work. If you heard about the Kaseya hack recently, you'll know that somebody paid for the key and it didn't even work. So again, you're working with, in essence, thieves. That's who you're working with. So you have to be really careful. You're much better off just having a backup and saying, "I'm going to wipe out this device. I'm going to completely reinstall the operating system, start over, download my data, and boom, I'm ready to go." Way safer.
Yes. And so you pay the small price ahead of time than to pay the big price if that was to happen.
Correct.
So, yeah, those are things that just I think are helpful for people to know because, like I said, small businesses, that's not our specialty. So we don't know all
Right.
the time how that works, or we think it's super expensive. So it's good to get it out there that, you're there and it's affordable and it's easy to maintain.
Mm-hmm.
Just everybody in a small business, you should do that to protect your interests because you work hard
Right.
in your business. You don't want to take that risk.
Exactly.
So even though you're located in Northern California, you can help people anywhere.
Correct. So we do, as far as the cloud services, we have clients all over the United States. And the example I used earlier is actually true. We have some clients who live part-time in another country and part-time in the United States. For us, it doesn't matter. You can live anywhere because as long as you can get on the internet, your backup will run. It'll see that there's a job waiting. It'll push your data and boom, you're done. So as far as that, with our IT consulting services, where we come on site and we help you or we replace equipment and things like that, we usually try to keep that within a couple hours of distance-wise, because if we're more than that away, it's hard for us to be super effective. In other words, if you're, 6 hours away from us, if you're in, Arkansas, it's going to take us a while to get there if there's a physical hardware piece and nobody's on site. So depending upon how it's set up, we do actually have a client in the middle of the country, but they have an on-site tech person and we work with that person. And so that works because we can work with them through any sort of hardware stuff. So it kind of depends on the client, but in general, we do try to keep it within a couple hour radius. So.
Right, for those services. So there are some products, and of course, there's going to be a service that has to be local, but then certain things can be done. If you wanted to host a website with you, that doesn't matter where they are. So
same with drive destruction and backups, all of that can be done remotely. There's and a lot of times we do one-off services. Like we've done jobs in Alaska where it was, set up, rip and replace all the equipment, get it all set, teach the people how to use everything, all the new equipment, and then they take over from there and they're not needed again. That's totally feasible for us because we only have to travel there one time, maybe twice, right? So we do those kinds of things on rare occasions as well. Yeah.
Right, that's awesome. And so if folks visit your site, they're going to know everything that, all the products and services that you offer. And that would be the best way for them to get in touch with you, correct?
Yeah, they can browse the website. There's a lot more information there than probably any one person would need. But I did go through, there's lots of different things that, like, for smaller businesses, like, what are the kinds of things you need to worry about? Like, well, I want to, maintain my data. Okay, well, what does that mean? And so then you go to a page and it talks about, using backups and kind of that data life cycle that I talked about. And so different things like that, or, what do I need to know? What's a wireless heat map? What does that mean? And how does that work? And what is ransomware? And why is it so dangerous? Lots of little topics where you can just educate, because that's a huge part of what we do and what we love to do. I do a weekly blog that's just about educating. There's no ads and I don't spam people to death. I just send them the blog, but it's all about educating. So I'll talk about things that, like, how to protect yourself, or current scams that are going on, or like last week I did, how to know if an IRS or a government notification is legit or not. How can you protect yourself? Because people get sucked into these scams where they're, doing things, they're giving away their life savings. And it's really scary. And all I ever think of is, like, what if that were my mom or dad? Like, how devastated would I be that I didn't know what was going on and that they got taken? So we try to do everything we can to try to protect people and kind of inform them. Or if there's like a Windows update that breaks something, we'll talk about that. How do you undo it? Different things like that. Try to just educate people and help them help themselves.
Yes, that was what I was going to talk about, was the blog and your newsletter.
Oh, sorry.
I always get, no, that's perfect, because that is like a huge value right there in itself, because I don't know if it's an actual newsletter or if it's just that I get notifications when you post to your blog, but I love it. I read them all the time and I'm like, oh, that is something I did not know. So useful. So I really encourage people to go there. And so I think it's just subscribing to your blog. I really encourage folks to do that. Great, helpful tips. And for any size business, small or large, it's great information and it's free information. So why not use that knowledge, that experience that you have, so that we don't have to.
Right. And the purpose is that there's only so much of me, and somebody will call and ask me something and I'm like, well, shoot, they can't be the only one that had that problem, and I'll write about it. And that's a lot of how I get my topics, is it's something that I help the client with that week. And the idea is just to try to get more information out so people can help themselves faster, ideally in hopes that they don't have to take their computer somewhere to get fixed, right? Because that they can help themselves. Everyone loves to do it themselves and learn something, for the most part. So it's like, it's just a great way to, like, reach out and try to help people and, kind of get the tech out of the way. Like, I understand when you're just trying to do something and you're like, it's not happening, or something happens, something's not working right, and you don't know why. And you're just like, it's so frustrating. I just want to do this one creative thing. And those things totally, like, rip the creativity out of you. So I try to kind of keep the tech out of the way, basically.
Yes. Awesome. So is there anything else we need to start wrapping it up, but is there anything that you would like anyone to know of a product or service or anything about you?
I would say I would love to throw in a little pitch about the WBN if that's okay.
Oh, sure.
That's why we're here a little bit.
Sure.
I would just love to say that, if you're out there and you're a woman entrepreneur or you work for a business and you love to come meet people and talk about your business, please come join us. We have the most welcoming group. I have to say, I first got to the Women's Business Network because I was at another networking group and I had met someone's husband, and then she subbed in for them a few times and she's like, hey, I'm part of this other women's group and it's really big. You should come. And I'm like, okay, I'll be there next week. And I showed up, and the first person that presented my very first meeting was a therapist. And I had just suffered a loss in my life. And I can remember sitting in the meeting and tears were just like in my eyes. And I looked around the room and there were other people, because as she spoke, it resonated with everyone. We all had suffered some sort of like loss, and we're trying to deal with that, like forgiveness and stuff. And I felt not self-conscious, not nervous. I didn't feel anxious. I felt welcome. I felt like I belonged, and I went, this is it. Like, give me an application. I want to be part of this group. And I really still feel that way. It's the most welcoming group where, if you're presenting, we're clapping for you. We want you to do well. We're there to support you, build you up, whether you're, really good at networking or not, it doesn't matter. You'll fit in. And so I welcome you to come to the WBN and see what we're all about. We love to learn. We learn from each other. We teach each other. It's a great experience. It's all up, all wins.
So happy to hear that. That's what, that is our whole goal. Is we want people to get the knowledge, build the relationships, get the experience, and educate, and just feel good. And we've all been there, whether you're new to business or you're a seasoned business owner. We've all been there.
Yeah.
So we want to help everybody. So I'm so glad you came and you made it back.
I did. I was like, can I have an application, please? Done.
and then since the pandemic did change things a little bit, but we went national. So we're so excited that the Women's Business Network can be more than just one group. Now we're national,
yes.
So we can help as many people as possible across the United States. So for those of you that are out there watching, so if you're thinking about it, just check out the website. The information's on the bottom of the screen, and just come and join us. Come be part of this. And get empowered, get educated, and feel comfortable networking with other like-minded women.
Yes.
Because thank you so much. That makes me so happy to hear that.
Oh, I know. I don't know that you even knew that necessarily. You were there, but I'm not sure if you knew how that happened for me. So
nope.
Yeah.
And that warms my heart to hear that. I mean, I'm sorry, but I'm glad that that's it. That when people talk about their business, it's not about selling. It's about educating people about businesses and how it can help you or help someone that you know. Or
yes.
Refer, like we're just one big family, one big sales force, so that we're out there trying to help everybody and empower them.
Yeah.
So it does feel very good to hear that. So let's finish up. So the best way for people to contact you through the website, you have a Facebook page. Of course, your directory listing is on the Women's Business Network. So
my email's on there. That's a great way to get me.
Yeah, email is always fabulous, people.
It is.
Phone if you want to do it old school and but email is great. So emails and websites are fabulous, because then you can get all the information that you need anytime.
Yes.
And I once again, I say subscribe to her blog. There's so much information on there. We also have a blog on the Women's Business Network that has a ton of information, so check that out. So Wendy, thank you so much for being here today. And I learned even more about the business. I thought I knew a lot, but I learned.
Well, thank you. I'm so excited.
So thank you for making IT, good for us layman people. A little bit better.
I don't consider you a layman, but yeah, I love to make it accessible for people. So it doesn't, the thing is, I hate when somebody works in IT and they make it seem like it was magic. They came and they did magic. They can't tell you about it because it's magic. Well, no, that's not true. It's so much better if you educate people so they can help themselves, longer term. We're firm believers in not trying to make people dependent upon us. We want to empower them. And so that's how we go about everything with IT. And it really lines up with everything with the Women's Business Network. So it's kind of a perfect fit.
Right. So you're making it accessible. You're making it easy, accessible, and affordable. and not intimidating. So that's what I like. And that's what all, you know, business, we need that in our business lives, right? So,
yes.
all right. So thank you again for being here. And for those of you that are watching, I encourage you to check out Wendy. And if you have any IT questions or you need anything, you know, shoot her an email and I'm sure she will be happy to get back to you.
Thank you.
All right. So take care, everybody. Thank you.